Hi everyone, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. My name is Patricia Chidima, and on today's video I'll be showing you how to make this beautiful Ankara top. This video includes both the cutting and the sewing of this Ankara top. It's a Bustier top with two-step sleeve which has a bob sleeve beneath it and then the flace sleeve on top of it. It also has an adjustable elastic on the sleeve which can either sit on your shoulder like this one, or you can break it down to be in this form just like this one here. So if this sounds like something you're interested in, keep on watching to the end and let's get down into this tutorial.
Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you.
So these are the materials we'll be needing for this tutorial. I have my pattern paper here, I have my pattern curves, my measuring tape, and I also have my scissors. I also have this fabric here. It measures about 1 yard and 30 inches. So I have my cotton lining as well. So this is linen I'll be using. So these are everything. I went ahead to place my pattern and I just want to get the full length of this top. So I want to get a margin for the shoulder area. So I'll draw a margin which will serve as a line to guide us on the shoulder part. So I just mark down 1 inch there and I'm just going to connect the line just this way that I'm drawing it. And after doing this now, I'll go ahead to measure out the full length for this top. So I used 20 inches for the full length of this top. You can either use 16 inches, 18 inches as you prefer and how you want it to be. So I prefer to use 20 inches because I wanted it a bit long. So I'll go ahead to divide the paper. So I will get the full length of the width and I'm just going to divide the width like this and get the center. That's what I'm doing right here. So when I was done, I will mark it using my marker pen to make it brighter. And this is the shoulder line, this is our center front, and this will serve as our center back. Don't mind me, I'll correct that later. So this is the full length for the top, which is 20 inches we mark from the shoulder to the full length. So I'm just going to cut it out. So we'll start drafting on the front by marking down our vertical measurement. So to get our armhole length, we'll have to calculate the bust. So the bust I'm working with is 36 inches. So I'll write down 36 here divided by 6, which will give us 6 plus 1 and plus 1 inch for shoulder slant. So this gave us 8 inches. So I'm going to mark down 8 inches there. I'll mark the shoulder to bust point, which is 9.5, and I'll also mark shoulder to under bust, which is giving us 13.5, shoulder to waistline, which is 17 inches. And I'll also do the same thing on this other side, marking shoulder to chest line 8 inches, shoulder to bust point 9.5, and shoulder to under bust 13.5, shoulder to waistline 17 inches. I'll go ahead to rule it. I'll also use the marker pen to highlight it, and then this is the chest line, bust line, the under bust line, and the waistline. So the shoulder width we are working with is 15 inches divided by 2, which will give us 7.5 inch, and the shoulder slant I'm using is 1 inch. So I will do the same thing here, transferring the 7.5 inch here and make it in a straight line. So I'll mark the standard measurement for the neckline here. So I'll just mark 3 inches by 3 inches. So I'll mark 3 inches as the width and 3 inches as the length. So I'll mark the shoulder slant this way. Then I'll use my curve to curve the neckline area. So next is to divide the armhole length into 2, which is 7 divided by 2, which will give us 3.5 there. So I will come in from that 3.5 by ½ inch. I'll mark it there. So this will serve as guide to curve our armhole. So to curve it, I need to get the bust measurement. So the round bust we are working with is 36 divided by 4, which will give us 9 inch. So I will impute this on the chest line there. So this will guide us to curve the armhole this way. So after this, we need to impute our dart line there. So the bust span we are working with is 8 inches. That's the nipple to nipple measurement. 8 inches divided by 2, which will give us 4. So I'm going to mark down 4 inches there. And to the full length, I'll also mark 4 inches. I'll make it in a straight line. So the dart intake I'll be using is 1.5 inch. So on the waistline there, I'll divide 1.5 inch on both sides, which is 0.75 and 0.75 on this side. So before connecting it, I would share half inch on this other side on the full length. So I'll mark half inch there and half inch on this other side, and I'll put it there. I'll connect it this way like this, and I will connect it to the bust line at this other side. Before then, I'll come down on this bust line by half inch and half inch this side. So I'll connect it to this half inch that I marked down, and this other dart leg I'll connect it this way. So after doing this now, I will have to impute our waistline measurement. So the waist we are working with is 28 divided by 4, which will give us 7 inches plus 1.5 inch we use for our dart intake, which is going to give us 8.5 inches there. So I'll mark 8.5 inch and connect it to the full length as well. So after this, we need to tighten our underbust. So before we tighten our underbust, we also need to divide the shoulder, which is 4 inches by 2, which is giving us 2 inches there. I'll connect this line to the bust point there. So this will serve as a guide in tightening the upper bust. So let's go over to tighten our underbust. The underbust measurement we're working with is 29 inches. So I'll mark 29 inches there divided by 4, which will give us 7.5 inches. So this is 7.5 inches here. So we have extra 1.5 inch remaining. So we're going to share it on that dart leg. So I will mark half inch on this side and 1 inch on this other side, and then connect it to this dart leg here, and this other one to the dart leg at the down part. So after doing this now, I will use my marker pen to highlight it and then connect it also to the bust point, and to this other side on the bust point I will also highlight it with my marker pen. So after this, we need to get the cleavage depth, how open you want your off shoulder top to be. This is how you determine it right here. So I'll mark from the shoulder downwards to 6 inches because I don't want mine to go so down. So if you want it down, you can use 7 inches, 7.5 inches as you desire. So I'll mark it in a straight line here, and we need to tighten our upper bust. So to do this, I will come in here by 0.75 inches and 0.5 inch on this other axis. So I'll connect it like this, and this other side connect it as well. I will deepen the center front a little bit by 1 inch, that's making it 7 inches from the shoulder. So I will connect it this way. So to ensure that our darts are matching each other, I'll just fold this way and match it up like this. So remember, we're making an off shoulder top, so I'll also mark how deep I want the off shoulder armhole to be. So I'm marking 2.5 inches for the length of the armhole that I want. So I'll connect it all together this way. So over to the back pattern, I'll mark the shoulder, which is 7.5 inches from the center back, the neckline 3 inches, shoulder slant 1 inch, and neckline depth I used 1 inch as well. So I'll connect all this. I'll slant the shoulder like this and then connect the neckline like this. So I'll mark the armhole depth, which is 8 inches. So I'll mark from shoulder line 8 inches, and then the waistline is 15 inches for the back, and the full length for the back is 18 inches. Ask me why, I will reply and answer you as we progress in the video. So I'll read it out like this, and I'm going to impute the shoulder width there, which is 7.5, and make it in a straight line just like this. So I'll mark down the bust measurements on the chest line, which is 36 inches divided by 4, which will give us 9 inches. Then for the armhole depth, I'll divide it by 2, which is 3.5, and I'll come in on that 3.5 by half inch and mark the armhole curve just like this. So this is the 9 inches that I marked for the bust span. So I'll mark it just like this and use my marker pen to highlight it. So I won't be putting any dart at the back. I'll divide the waistline, which is 28 divided by 4 will give us 7 inches plus half inch is at the back. So I'll connect it this way. On the waistline at the center back, I'll come in by ½ inch and connect it to the chest line and back to the full length of the back. So remember the shoulder depth we used for the front, which is 2.5 inch. I'll transfer it to the back as well, which is 2.5 inch that I'll mark there. I'll draw 7 inches from the shoulder on how deep I want the center back to be. So I'll connect it from the armhole area to the center back just like this. So after this, now this is how the back looks like. This is the center back and this is the side back. Remember that the front length is 20 inches while the back length is 80 inches, and the difference is 2 inches. So the front and the back length has 2 inches difference in the length. So to make them equal, we'll put our bust dart. So from the bust line there, I'll mark down 2 inches and then I'll connect it to the bust point. So this bust dart technique is going to make the both sides equal. So this 2 inches difference in length is to eliminate zip bug and to enable the bag to sit very well at the back. I'll close up the darts this way and use my masking tape to mask it up. So I'll roll the line in a straight line to close up that gap there. So I like to just add sewing allowance on the paper, and the sewing allowance I'll be using is 2 inches. I'll mark 2 inches there for the back and I'll connect it. I wouldn't be adding any sewing allowance on the paper for the front side. So I'll go ahead to cut out that place that I'm marking down and I will cut the rest of the back. So this is the front here, so I'll go ahead to cut out that place and cut out the rest of the front. So this is it here when I was done cutting the front, and this is the one, this is the two. So I'm just trying to note where the bust point is, and this is it here. So this is the back as well. The sides are matching each other like this. So we'll go ahead to transfer our pattern to fabric. So this is it here. I've placed the pattern on the materials. I'll go ahead to add the necessary sewing allowance on the both sides. So I'll be adding ½ inch on this side. I'll add 2.5 inch on the sides. So this is it here when I was done adding necessary sewing allowance for it. I also cut out the lining for it. So I cut out the lining that I'll be using for this project. So I'll be using an interfacing for this. So this is the interfacing I'll be using. Is a cloth gum. So I'll go ahead to cut it also like this and go ahead to iron it. And after this is how it looks when I was done cutting and ironing the interfacing on it. So this is the front part. We'll start with joining the front part. So we're going to join the front part like this. I'll place it front facing front and sew along there using the ½ inch allowance we gave, and this is the outcome when I was done sewing the front part. So I went ahead to press open the seam, and this is how relaxed the seam looks. So I'll bring in the lining. I went ahead to do the same thing I did for the front on the lining piece. So we're going to place the lining like this, front facing front. I'll go ahead to stitch it. So we'll turn that area and the neck as well. So we're turning the neck, the sides and the down part as well. So this is it here when I was done turning the down part, the sides and the neck area. So if you notice here, we didn't turn the armhole area, so I'm just going to from there turn it out. So before then I'll notch that place, then I'll go ahead to turn it inside out. So after turning it inside out, I'll go ahead to press it right here. So use your steam iron to iron it. Just make sure that all the edges are out and well relaxed as well. So this is the look when I was done with the ironing. This is it here on the inside part. It got stained at that place, but I will clean it out. So I'll keep this aside and go ahead to bring in the back. This is the back and we are going to work on this back. So I'll bring in the lining as well. I am going to place the lining front facing front. That's the front part of the lining facing the front part of the back, and I'll stitch it along that place. So I'll do the same thing for this other side. I'll stitch it to the down part, the sides, and this is the look when I was done stitching and ironing it. So I'll go ahead to bring in the zip. So I'm going to put the zip here. It's quite a long zip, so I'm just going to cut the zip, but if you have a shorter zip you can work with it. This is the look of the zip when I was done. This is the inside, so I'll go ahead to cut it when I'm done, and I'll go ahead now to bring in the front. I'll place the front this way to face the front part of the back, and I'm just going to join it side by side. I'll bring in my tape to mark it here. So the bust measurement is 36 inches divided by 2, which will give us 18 inches. So 18 inches, the remaining thing that you have there, you're just going to put it that side. I'll do the same thing for the underbust and the waistline as well. So everything turned out to be 1.5 inch. So I'll just mark 1.5 inch around that area. So this is it here when I was done joining both sides, and I'll turn it to the front side. This is how it looks on the front side. So I didn't want it so fitted, so I want mine to be a bit free, but if you want yours to be fitted you have to use your accurate measurement to join it very well. So guys, I'll go ahead to cut the sleeve. So this is the remaining fabric from the 1 yard and 30 inches fabric that we have. So mind you, if you want your sleeve to be bigger than mine, you can decide to use a bigger fabric. You can make it 2.5 yards. I'll fold my fabric in a block form. I'll cut the flare first, so the remaining yards or the remaining fabric will be for the bob sleeve. So I'm marking down 15.5 inch in that area. So I'll mark it round, just put it at that point and mark it all the way like this one I am marking. So this is just like cutting a 180-degree flare or a 90-degree flare. So this is me placing it here. I'll mark it all the way down and connect it. So for the upper part, I came down by 3 inches, but I realized that it was quite small after marking it, so I increased it to 5 inches. So after cutting it out, I'll keep it aside and then let's cut the bob sleeve. So this is the remaining fabric. I'll just make it in the block form and it automatically becomes our bob sleeve, but then we need to add the armhole area. So I'll measure the length of the top armhole, which is 3 inches. So I'm going to mark down these 3 inches we got on the sleeve armhole, adding extra 1.5 inch for hemming the upper part of the sleeve where we were going to pass our elastic inside. So this is it here. I'm just going to mark it this way and cut it out as well. I'll also bring in the flare part of the sleeve and reduce it a little down by 1 inch. So after this, I'll cut out the armhole like I did for the bob sleeve. So this is it here. This is the flare, this is the bob sleeve. So we're going to join these two together now. So I'll bring in the bob sleeve. I'm noting where is the back and the front. So I'll bring in the flare part of the sleeve, and this is it here. I'll place it to each other just like top stitching on each other. So I'm just going to place on top of each other like this. So I'll go ahead to top stitch at that place, then go ahead to fold it inside. If you have an interlocking machine, you can go ahead to interlock the upper part here before hemming it inside. So I'll do this for the both sleeves and I'm just going to show you what it looks like. This is the final look when I was done hemming the upper part of the sleeve. So this is how it looks, so nice. So we'll go ahead now to join the sides. So I'm just going to place it like this, and I'm just going to join this side of the sleeve first, and I'll also go ahead to hem the down part. So this is the final look when I was done hemming the down part of it. I kept some space there to pass the elastic. So this is the elastic we'll be using. Is a 1/2 inch elastic. I'll put my safety pin there. So I'm just going to pass the elastic through the space we kept already at the hem part. So this is it here. I'll pass the elastic like this, and when it gets to this other end, I will ensure that it fits properly on my body, that's on my hand. So if you're working for a client, at this point you have to take the client's measurement and impute it at that area. So I'll tie it this way. After tying it, I'll cut out the excess left. Now go ahead to stitch up that area, and this is the final look when I was done stitching them. I did the same thing for both sleeves, and this is the final look. So I'll bring in the elastic as well. So I'm just going to pass the elastic on the shoulder part. So I'll pass it just the same thing I did on the hemming part. I'll pass it to this other end. I'll bring in the top when I'm done to sew it on it. So this is the top here. So we're going to join the sleeve to the top just like this. So we're going to put it this way, and we're going to stitch it all the way to this other end. I don't know if you get what I mean, but let me show you how to do it on the sewing machine. This is it here on the sewing machine. I'm just going to stitch it like this. I will also ensure that the line here, the armhole line, also matches each other. So I will ensure those lines match each other. So I'll stitch it all the way to the other end as well. So before sewing to the end, we need to mark out how the width of the sleeve area will be. So I'm going to use 4 inches for this. It can go lesser, it can go higher depending on your body size. So this is 4 inch that I'm marking here. I'm going to place it to this end and then stitch it up. So after I was done stitching, I'll cut out the elastic, and then this is how flexible the elastic part is. So this is how flexible it is, and I'll do the same thing for this other end, and we'll show you what it looks like. This is the final look when I was done stitching the sleeve to the top. I also went ahead to hem the flare side, so I hemmed it twice, and this is the look here. This turned out so beautiful. Like I said earlier, if you want the bob sleeve to be big, you have to ensure that you have enough fabrics for it, and cut it just same way I did for this one. I so much love the outcome of the bustier part. So this is how the bustier is standing and looking all nice. So if you have any question, let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and see you all in my next video. Bye.